It's time to continue our quest through Season 6 of Black Mirror, and this episode certainly offered up plenty of talking points. I'm Connor from Unleash the Ghouls, and I'm going to be sharing my thoughts and feelings on Episode 4, Mazey Day. There'll be spoilers ahead, and before I jump in, please consider a sub to our upcoming new channel, The Horror Exchange. Links below. Let's get into it. Mazey Day? More like Crazy Day. For the shortest episode of the show ever, I had the feeling in advance that whatever this episode was going to tackle, it had to be mostly straightforward. You couldn't cover a San Junipero or an entire history of you in 40 minutes. And though there have been a couple episodes in seasons past around this length, it's been a long time since we saw something this short in the show. It's remarkably simple as a concept, yet it makes the most of its core idea and then slaps a doozy of a twist onto it, which for reasons I'll get into, I think was for worse, not better. So the episode itself. Given the news announcement in the episode of Tom Cruise and Katie Holmes having a daughter named Suri, we can date this episode's setting as 2006. The dangerous technology in this one isn't some radical new AI that can destroy you. It's something that all of us know of, which can still destroy you. Cameras. In this episode, we explore the parasitic leeching of the paparazzi, people who make a living pursuing celebrities and photographically exposing them for cold hard profit, which had a toxic peak in the noughties. I've always despised the concept of the paparazzi anyway, because I'm somebody who greatly values privacy and comfort. Yet these guys are the antithesis of that. We see these people invading people's space, verbally antagonizing them in order to garner a reaction that could become story-worthy, sitting outside people's homes or places they're staying for hours on end just to get an opportunity to catch them with their trousers down, metaphorically and or literally. The camera can be used as a weapon, and it's made very clear here just how chaotic the ripples can become. The story flows rather quickly as we spend time with one of the paparazzi, played by Zazie Beetz. She first photographs an actor having an affair, Justin Camley, who winds up hanging himself. Here we see the consequences these kind of photographs can have. Yes, doing the acts themselves in the first place may not be morally right, yet when there's printable, distributable evidence of what you've done, you've got nowhere to hide. These images have the power to be death sentences. Yet the majority of the paparazzi don't care. It's their job. They go out of their way to capture these moments in time, no matter how invasive they become to acquire them, and then have the bargaining power to command their price. It's a troublesome line of work, and Mazey Day captures that rather well with the swarms of photographers gathering around celebs like moths to flames. But what of Mazey Day herself? That's another story element. Well, there does exist a Mazey Day in real life. It's part of Cornish midsummer celebrations. But in this episode, Mazey Day is a famous actress working on location in the Czech Republic, who one evening has a nibble on a shroom and heads out on a drive, running over a man and legging it out there. A famous starlet has committed a hit and run and becomes enormously conflicted by the incident. Beetz investigates a trail to try and locate Day's whereabouts, and I've got to say, man, it's so convenient here how easily Beetz gets the info she needs. She has like 2 fleeting conversations with strangers and discovers exactly where Mazey is. She's rented an entire rehab facility all to herself, but for Beetz to know that, all it took was a chinwag at a takeout diner and then a chat at a diner. The way Beetz got from starting her pursuit for Mazey to locating Mazey was very contrived to me here. I get that the episode is a short one, but I think they could have added 5 to 10 minutes here to flesh out the investigation, to make it feel like, you know, an investigation, rather than a, hey, do you know where this A-list celeb is? Sure, she's at that clinic over there. Oh, how very convenient. Now I'm at the point of the video that some of you have clicked on to hear a discussion about, probably most of you, so let's do it. In one of the most absurd twists Black Mirror has ever done, Mazey has chained herself to the floor in the rehab centre. The fact that the paparazzi, with the exception of Beetz, just take continuous shots of her as she lies sweating and delirious, an apparent combination of drug withdrawal and grief, is horrible. horrible, truly horrible. It displays just how despicable the motives of some of these people are. This isn't a suffering woman, it's a money-making situation. They even at some points talk about certain photos as values. That's 30 grand right there, one of them says. Even later, the shots become at least $1 million each, and they even fight over the evidence while being pursued. Like that takes precedent over survival. Pursued, you say? Yes, I do. Because Mazey Day is a werewolf. That felt sudden to say, didn't it? About as sudden as it was done in this episode. I'm sure there'll be people out there who were mind blown by this and sat back in their chairs with shock. On my end though, I just went, why? This felt incredibly tacked on for me personally. A supernatural twist for the sake of it. Now, I do sort of get this choice in a clue-baiting sense. The official synopsis provided for this episode prior to the launch of Season 6 was a troubled starlet is dogged by invasive paparazzi. Now, I'm from England. I know the accent may throw some of you off, but I am. So I could take the term dogged in a very much inapplicable direction. However, its, shall we say, proper definition is having or showing tenacity and grim persistence. These are traits required for the paparazzi to carry out their job. They've got to be tenacious because they break through a moral code to get paid. Their income is generated through scarring people or tracking down the scarred, and the more layers of privacy they shatter, the bigger the payday. So for the fact the paparazzi are taken out here by a werewolf, i.e. a dog, then they get literally dogged. I'm gonna stop saying dogged. So you can at least argue a symbolic reason as to why the paparazzi are taken out this way. But I've had to dig a little deeper to consider that, and even then, I think it's a bit of a stretch. It's a play on words that I only considered because I'd read the official synopsis. Had I not done that, I'd have not thought of it. It was a dangling fruit for keen fans, but the fact of the matter still remains that they've slapped a werewolf in an episode about the paparazzi. It's such a jolt considering there's no real apparent conceivable build-up to it. Any foreshadowing in there will be minutely subtle. It meant that the twist would be very difficult or near impossible to predict, but the flip side of that is it came across as unnecessary. Even with this new plot thread about the werewolf, I found a couple issues. The paparazzi continuing to take photos of a woman who has just turned into a wolf, literally in front of them, was such a stupid choice. I was on Mazey's side here. Go get him, girl. But that's not the main problem. The main problem for me was how Mazey is picked off. Just one bullet from a regular handgun at the diner is enough to floor her and change her back to human form. That's it? You're not even gonna try and dress it up with any kind of mythos? It was all over in a flash. It did end on a pretty brilliant note though, and another play on words, as Mazey asks for Beetz to shoot her, to which she hands over the gun and reaches for her camera to shoot her in a different sense. A-list celebrity lying bloody on the floor in the process of killing herself. Yup. There's the money. I hated Beetz's character because of this, by the way. There's several moments in this episode where she reins it in a bit. When a swarm of paparazzi gather around a celeb, she refrains from getting involved too much after seeing the celeb uncomfortably cowering. Then when they all find Mazey chained up, she actively tries to help her while the rest just stand and take pictures. It's like she's learning of the shameful motives her job entails and is slowly realizing its morally questionable nature. Yet come the end of the episode, she can't snap out of it fully and just goes right back to the paparazzi mindset. Now, in one sense you could argue that it's because the paparazzi mindset is so, I suppose, addictive or hard to escape, but throughout the episode she's been teaching herself, gradually moving away from that mindset. She's not learned the lessons her own reactions have been giving her. So it came across as one of those, what was the point of that then, subplots? Overall, I think that Mazey Day was an episode of two very distinct chunks. The commentary on the infectious nature of the paparazzi was done really rather well, with the exception of Beetz having a muddled character arc. Then the whole werewolf piece was a potential analogy between the wolf-like nature of the paparazzi, hunting in packs as it were, being directed against them, a retaliation from the celebrity world in a supernatural guise. But if taken taken on pure face value and not trying to extract any kind of meaning from it, it's still a remarkably tacked on ending for the sake of becoming a talking point. This one won't be remembered as the one that exposed the paparazzi. It'll be remembered as the werewolf one, and that to me isn't the best end result this concept could have had. These are just my thoughts about Black Mirror Season 6, Episode 4, Mazey Day. Please feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. While you're there, don't forget to check the links to the Horror Exchange, and if you enjoyed this video, a cheeky sub to the channel would be much appreciated. I've been Connor from Unleash the Ghouls. I'm off to howl at the moon a bit, and cheers out.